result y'all wanted. What was the message to the team after this one?
I think the biggest thing is we got to rise up. I thought there were moments where we didn't execute. Obviously, we had too many turnovers, and there's always something to fix. But we got to rise up and we got to battle, and we've got to be more of a unit. And our execution has to be more on point for 40 minutes. We can't pick and choose when we execute.
Yeah, specifically the press. What do y'all got to do there to fix those turnovers?
Have some composure, and I think we've got to find the right person. I think we got a little antsy with some of our passes instead of kind of baiting them and finding that open person. Our cuts weren't as crisp as they needed to be coming back to the ball. We worked on it for the 2 days we had, but, I guess when you go against a press like that, they're well-oiled machines. They have some veteran players. They're an established program in the sense that, we knew that was coming, but it's we have to have more composure, and we have to have just a little bit more sense of urgency to take care of the basketball.
Yeah, specifically going against, they went 11 deep today, and it seemed like, players were really tired by the end. Is that one of those things where, are you debating expanding your, how deep you went, or was it just you needed those players out there to rise up more?
I thought we needed some of them to rise up more. I thought, we probably could have gone a little bit deeper in our bench, but I think when we went to a more guard-oriented lineup, we were able to make some runs and close the gap a little bit.
Yeah, it felt like they made some sort of big shot almost every time y'all started to put together a run. I guess, what are your thoughts on their team and what they have?
They got some veteran players, and they're really good at what they do. She's Coach Rogers has put together a really good program, and she's been there for a little bit to be able to be established. They made it to the tournament last year, so they're playing with a lot of confidence. I think the biggest thing is, when we had opportunities to make some big shots, they didn't fall. And you've got to make sure when you got that open shot, you got to knock it down, or you get a dink shot, or you get a wide open three. We got to knock down big shots to answer.
Obviously moving into SEC play after this one, I know for a lot of teams, like a loss like this could be demoralizing, an in-state team, but I guess what's your confidence that you have a team that can put this aside and focus on what's next?
There's always something to fix, like we talked about in the locker room. We have a lot of things we need to work on, but at the same time, we have to make those changes quickly. We are in the first year, we are in a build, but at the same time, we can make excuses or we can rise up. And I think at this point, we're going to have to rise up. We're going to have to get tough, and we're going to have to really come together, and we're going to have to be a unit and, just execute at a higher level and be able to be more efficient.
Yeah. What was the difficulty of this being your opponent after a break? Just with the way that they play and, try and wear you down.
Yeah, I think no matter what, like preparing for a team like this is hard no matter what, even 2 days, 5 days, no matter what, because the way that they sub and the way that they press, I think that no matter what, that is hard to prepare for. But, no, it's not ideal, but at the end of the day, we have to be more prepared.
Yeah. Honing back in on the turnovers again, it felt like there were some instances where players just, they were looking down, and then the first thing they see when they get up is a trap. How do you, coach players to be aware of what all's going around, but still obviously have to, be aggressive?
I think just being more heady with the basketball, like having vision. I thought the moments when we actually did, we kind of baited them and we got the trap, but we were able to execute and make better passes out of it. I think, like you said, we got to get our eyes up and we have to make quicker decisions and be more efficient and also meet the pass a little bit better.
Would you say this is probably the most frustrating loss of your 4 non-conference losses based on the reasons you kind of stated earlier?
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating, but I think any loss is frustrating because that's obviously not your goal. You're competing to win. I think, some of the mistakes that we made, we could have shrunk our turnovers. We got to the free throw line pretty decently. They also took 24 more shots than us. That's a hard concept to fix, but when you have that many turnovers, it's hard to overcome that.
And I guess now that non-conference play is over, is it too early to, can you notice a visible change in your team from game 1 to now?
Yes, I think there's a lot of things that, we've gotten better at. There's some things that we need to continue to get better at. And I think sometimes when you first start out and you're playing certain games and maybe you can go deeper into your roster and then, sometimes you shrink the play a little bit here and there. So I think just, finding out where everyone fits and what they need to do, but everyone has to stay bought in and be ready for their moment. And then we just have to continue to get better as a unit and execute at a higher level.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.